and welcome back to 100 Days of Survival Minecraft, Part 1. So, real quick, we're gonna go ahead and clear out our old pinpoints and put our new spawn down. That is the one thing with Xera's minimap is if you have a world that is named the same thing, it does recycle those waypoints you've already put in and leave them into your new world. It confused me the first couple of times because I thought it went by world seed, and no, it does not. And I didn't realize that I had already used this title for a much older world. So we're gonna go ahead and go about and collect some resources. Now that we are done with that, we're going to go exploring a little bit. We have this village up here. We are going to go ahead and loot it. It's not too big, but it is decent size, and it's got enough hay bales lying around that we should be good for food for a little bit. Keep on going, and we've got a little bit more. Seem to be doing extremely well with dyes for some reason. Not something I usually gather this early in the game. I mean, yes, eventually, but just not this early. So, this is going to be a bit more of a resource-heavy episode, just because it is still so early in the game. We'll be gathering all of our resources. This is a longer play of the 100 Days in Survival that recently got posted. It will be followed with several more as we go along. As I said, this is part 1. And it's just sort of, some people prefer to watch the more episodic events, seeing what happens and all of that. We've got a good spot for a base up here. And don't want it as quick as 100 days will give them. And for the people that do prefer that, or want to see more of how specifically something was built, or a little bit more in depth of how this was done and what all resources I used, can check out one of these instead. As I said, it is just a bunch of resource gathering here in the first few episodes. We don't do a whole awful lot. Right now, we clear out our base area. We are starting this one. I don't always do this, but this one specifically, we did start from a flat surface. And once I got that flat surface, I went out and we gathered some materials. So at the moment, my focus is more on coal and iron and some little bit of stone. Not a whole lot, but I need a stone pickaxe. So, gathered a little bit of stone, and then after that, our focus is going to be coal and iron. And that is going to take us a little bit, not a ton, but I'm not filling out a full mine quite yet, so I am looking for more exposed ores and that kind of a thing. Keeping my eye out for any random chests lying around. One of the mods that we have installed is probability chests, and basically that gives you random chests throughout your worlds, above worlds, in caves, in the nether, in the ends, all of that kind of stuff. And in these random chests you find scattered around, you can find a ton of different loot. But the probability part of it is that from the map and approaching them, you cannot tell if the chest is a chest or a mimic. And if that chest is a mimic, instead of getting some good loot, you are going to instead get attacked by a hostile mob called the Mimic. Not the roughest mob. in the game, but it can be somewhat difficult if you aren't expecting it or if you don't have the armor prepared for it. Of course, if you get your keys and that kind of stuff right, you can tame the mimic, and then you have a chest that will follow you like any other mob in the game, or any tamed mob in the game, which can be extremely useful and something that we will be using much later. So that adds a couple of cool things to this game. We've got a couple of other things, but those will not be seen until later on in the game, so we'll discuss them in further episodes. Go ahead and gather some pumpkins. Those are nice later on in game, especially once you've got your trading hall partially up and running. Pumpkins are a good thing to trade early on. Once you get a villager's trades down low and you don't need as many emeralds, then it's not as important, but they're still good for that. Along with jack-o'-lanterns. When I get to a bigger build, they are something I definitely use as helpful lighting sources. Got another portal over there. And yes, we will be spending a couple of days gathering resources. Running the More Gems mod means that we have a couple of different resources added to the game. Unfortunately, most all of them require you to have a iron pickaxe, of which I don't quite have yet. So, gotta skip by them, but we are on a move. Trying to find the rest of what we are looking for. That is actually 2 decent sized chests that we've gotten our loot from. Like I said, it's some decent loot. Throughout the world will also be scattered, especially in the lower section, will be scattered gold chests as well, but for those require a gold key to unlock. And if you're running that mob on a multiplayer server world, there also is different locks that you can, I believe, craft, as well as, if anything else, you can find them, and you can lock your mimics from anybody else getting into them as well. Adds a little bit of security to your chests. Then there is chests for the nether and for the end as well. And then there is also vases and stuff like that. And they are as varied as everything else that we find in the world. We are going to go ahead and now that we've gotten a couple of more things, we're going to go ahead and craft or find the rest of these. Got some tourmaline there. That's a More Gems mod piece. Get some decent size, I'm not sure to call them mountains per se, but some good foothills here. They don't really go anywhere, but it just makes for some excellent terrain here right at base. And let's keep going. We're gonna go ahead and light up a piece of this cave real quick right here before we continue on. Pick these just about clean. I'm not going to say we've gotten everything, but we've gotten a fair amount. that on back down there. And we have got our first real tool. That is going to be our hammer. And then we are going to go ahead and craft a tonsite excavator as well. And so instead of mining in your usual 2x2 or your 1 block by 1 block, the hammer and the excavator allows you to do 9 blocks at a time. Which, when you're just trying to move dirt and stone and that kind of stuff, can be extremely easier. Make your job extremely easy. So, empty out our inventory, drop that on in, and craft a little bit more food before we get back. And we're just sort of flattening the land right here real quick. I've got a couple of builds that I think will go here, but more than that, with this uptick in earth right here, there should be a good amount of stone underneath of it. And with me not wanting to start a mine quite yet, this stone will be very useful in building our house. Gather everything back up, and then keep going. It's early enough game that I don't want to lose all of these resources that we're making, but at the same point in time, I do need to move quickly. If there wasn't a chance that I would need these resources that we're gathering right now, probably just clear them out of the way and not care if I pick them up or not. But as we're still so early game, that is not quite yet the case. The nice things about these ones is that if I crouch, it only takes the block right in front of you that we were pointing out, just like a regular hammer or pickaxe or shovel would. Otherwise, it clears it up pretty well. Go ahead and take this side on down as well. And I do have a certain Y point that we are taking that down to. Back to base and start the same thing over again. Oh, and such lovely rain. Lovely, lovely rain. Collecting of the drops may be a bit painful at times, but it's a good resource for later on, especially this cobblestone. The dirt will come in later when I decide to eventually make a farm, more than likely, but otherwise, the cobblestone is what I'm really after. It's just a matter of getting all the dirt out of the way. here we go, getting some of that cobblestone. Looks like some gravel hidden in here as well. And it is night, so we've got to head home and sleep for a moment. A whole bunch of this away. That certainly works. And back to where we were. There we go. We're almost done. And there we go. So we are almost done, at least with the stone gathering. We collect everything and keep going. Not much left. There we go. It is cleared. Now, let's go ahead and put parts of this away. Clearing out the second set right over here. And we're actually going to go ahead and take this little floating island over here down. And there we go. Oh, I did not see that there was a ruined portal down here. That's interesting. Go ahead and collect the rest of these dropped entities. And some of the citrine before we head on back. There we go. Even this one out with everything else real quick. go. Got a floating pig over there as well. Take the rest of these on down. And there we go. And there we go. It's all cleared off. Just makes it a little bit more even if we're going to put our base right here, and allows us to have a little bit more of a lookout point if we so choose to use it as such, with our base being on a little bit of a higher ground. Not much, but a little bit. With that being done, there is a couple of other things we need to now do before we can get started. There we go. And that is getting some wood. So I haven't really decided which I'm going to use yet, birch or dark oak. So we're going to go ahead and get plenty of both so that we don't have to come back here for a little bit and go from there. I don't want to take this tree down with the hive in it. So we're going to go ahead and try and take everything around it down. Before we go from there. with that being done, we have gathered all of our materials needed for the base and are ready to move on to the next thing. If I can get through here. I'll have to come back and fix that later. But now that that is done, we have all of the materials, both the birch and the dark oak that we need for our house, and all of the cobblestone, among other things, and it is time to move on to our next steps. However, that will be for the next video. So thank you for watching this episode of 100 Days in Survival Minecraft, Part 1. See you next time. Thank you for watching and have a great and wonderful Minecraft day. Like and subscribe